The highway was empty, the kind of emptiness that makes the desert feel like another planet. It was past 2 a.m., and Jason had been driving for hours, the headlights carving tunnels of pale light through the black. That's when he saw it. At first he thought it was a man standing by the guardrail, tall, still, almost waiting. But when the beams caught its face, Jason slammed on the brakes so hard his tires screamed because the face. Looking back at him wasn't human, it was a snout. Long, jagged teeth glinting, eyes burning yellow like coals, body built like a man but covered in fur, its shoulders too broad, its arms too long. And it smiled when it saw him. Jason's hands gripped the wheel until his knuckles went white. He didn't dare move. The thing didn't either. It just stood there, watching him, chest rising slow like it wasn't breathing air but something. Heavier, and then it tilted its head. The motion was so familiar, so human, that Jason's stomach turned, like it was mimicking him, like it wanted him to know that it understood. Then, in one slow motion, it stepped into the middle of the road. Jason could see the muscles shift beneath the fur, the claws clicking against the asphalt. It didn't walk like an animal. It walked like a man who had learned to pretend to be one. Jason's brain screamed at him to drive, but his foot stayed frozen on the brake. Something about the way it moved, too deliberate, too confident, made him feel like, if he ran, it would follow. The creature crouched low, eyes never leaving Jason's. Then it dragged one long claw across the pavement, carving a line. A sound like nails down a chalkboard filled the night. It was marking something. Then it stood, pointing that same claw at him. Jason realized too late that this wasn't a random encounter. The way it looked at him, the way it motioned. It was testing him, measuring whether he would break. His heart pounded so hard he thought it would burst. His instincts finally took over, foot slamming the gas, tires shrieking as the car lurched forward. He swerved past it, not daring to look back. But in the mirror, he saw enough. The Dogman didn't chase him, just stood there in the middle of the road, smiling, watching him vanish into the night. Jason made it home before sunrise, but he never drove that stretch of highway again. Weeks later, when he told his cousin what happened, the man went pale. There are stories, he said quietly, about something that waits out there, something that chooses who it follows. If you saw it and it let you go, it means you're not done with it yet. Jason still wakes some nights at 2 a.m., convinced there are eyes burning in the dark outside his window. Watching, waiting, Mark thought. Solitude was peace. That's why he bought the old hunting cabin in Michigan, miles from the nearest town. No neighbors, no traffic, just endless trees and silence. On the second night, silence became a prison. He woke to scratching on the cabin wall. Not claws against wood, but something slower, purposeful, like fingers dragging across. Testing the grain. Mark reached for his lantern, heart pounding. That's when the knock came. 3 sharp raps on the door, not frantic. Not lost hiker desperate for help, steady, confident, like someone or something knew he was awake. "Who's there?" he called, voice trembling. The answer came low and guttural, a growl shaped into words, "Mark." It was his name, but spoken through teeth that weren't made for human speech. He should have stayed silent. He knew that. But fear does strange things. Mark reached for his rifle, then pulled the curtain back an inch. Stood on his porch, nearly stopped his heart. It was massive, taller than the doorframe, shoulders filling the space. Fur bristled under the moonlight, and a wolfish snout glistened with saliva. But it wasn't the teeth that broke him, it was the eyes. Flat, intelligent, smiling without moving the mouth. The creature tilted its head and tapped a claw against the window. Then it whispered again, "Mark, let me in." Stumbled back, rifle shaking in his hands. The scratching started again, circling the cabin. He followed. The sound, every step heavier than the last. The thing wasn't trying to break in. It was toying with him. At the back window, he saw it again, but this time closer, pressing its face to the glass, breath fogging it. Smile never changed. Mark raised the rifle, finger on the trigger, but he froze. Because behind the reflection, he saw himself, standing in the dark, smiling the same way. When dawn came, the cabin was empty. No scratches on the wood, no footprints. In the soil, nothing to prove what had happened. Mark left the cabin that morning and never went back. But sometimes, when he's home in the city, he swears he hears it again. Not outside. Inside. Scratching along the walls of his apartment, just waiting for him to remember that silence is never really safe. Derek was a hunter all his life. He thought he knew the forest better than anyone. The forest had a way of humbling men. That night the air was wrong. Too still. Not even crickets. His flashlight beam caught the trees in. Pale silver, and for the first time, he felt like prey. Then came the howl. Not wolf. Not coyote. Deeper, thicker. It rolled through his bones like thunder. And it wasn't alone. Something heavy crashed through the brush ahead. Branches snapped like bones. Derek raised his rifle, and his stomach dropped. Two yellow eyes stared back, too high off the ground to be any wolf. Then the shape stood up. The Dogman stepped into the clearing, towering, muscles rippling beneath its fur. Saliva dripped from its jaws as it growled, low and guttural. Derek didn't think. He fired. The shot cracked through the night, echoing into silence. The beast staggered, but didn't fall. It snarled, more angry than hurt, and began to advance. Derek ran. Branches tore at his arms as he sprinted through the forest. He could hear it behind him, claws tearing earth, breath ragged, faster than anything human should be. And worst of all, it wasn't rushing blindly. It was hurting him, driving him somewhere. He broke into a clearing, lungs burning, heart slamming in his chest. That's when he realized the mistake. 3 more sets of eyes blinked open in the dark. Not one Dogman. 4. The one he'd shot stepped out. Chest heaving, but alive. The others circled, closing in, silent as death. Derek raised his rifle again, but his hands shook too hard. He knew then. He wasn't the hunter anymore. He was the kill. The largest one leaned forward, lips curling. It didn't lunge. Didn't strike. It just smiled. Morning hikers found Derek's camp the next day. His rifle lay in the dirt. His gear was scattered. But Derek himself was gone. No blood, no tracks, just emptiness. Some say he vanished into the woods forever. Others whisper he was taken, not killed, but changed. Every so often, when hunters gather at the edge of that same forest, they swear they hear it. A howl too deep, too broken to belong to any animal. And hidden inside it, a human scream.